Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment. I'm Alexis Soto, joined by Alexis Moreno here for the podcast that brings you everything that comes out of the world of movies and more. And we have so much, obviously, here today as the world just does not stop turning. Every single time we're back on a podcast, it seems as if the worst thing imaginable has happened. And this has happened, I think, for at least 3 weeks in a row, or 3 podcasts in a row. It just continues to escalate, unfortunately, in the way that we thought it would. So that's not great because, I mean, I guess it's great for if we were making any money out of this, which we're not. So we're not betting on any of this. But maybe we should, considering how good we're getting at this. But it's bad because it's, a lot of carnage and devastation and death and decay and destruction. But hey, It's February, it's hot outside for some people. It's not looking great for the planet either. We just finished January, which ended up being the longest month imaginable. I think that was the longest month for me since probably March of 2020. If you know that was a pretty long month when COVID hit and everything closed down completely. So that was a pretty long month, I'll say that for sure. As far as what are we talking about today, obviously in the world of movies, since last we were here, last time we discussed the winners for the Golden Globes, and now the next big thing, the Academy Award nominations have already been released, and we'll be discussing about what we think about them in general, and where that's going to go ultimately. We're also going to go ahead and discuss the last time we talked about Kathleen Kennedy stepping down as head of Lucasfilm. Well, we have a new CEO. We have 2 new people who are going to fit the role of the heads-in-chief of the Walt Disney Company, a company that Alexis and I, for the better part of 3 decades, have had much investment in. So you're going to hear our thoughts about what we think about what this may portend for Disney in the coming decade and more. Will we finally see Mr. Bob Iger ride off into the sunset, or will he come back yet again? That's something we're going to have to discuss as well. And I would also say a big part of what today's show is going to be is actually getting into what is happening in the world, which affects literally every aspect of our lives. Since last we came on here, we've had more tragedy, more needless death, and a lot more scandal, and a lot more shock, shall we say, about the world that we inhabit, and how there is basically a secret cabal of people even higher than what we had already, knew or realized, right? I mean, we already know, and people should know that the world is run by billionaires and trillionaires who are just, eating up the world's resources, and they're spending huge amounts of their capital to crush working people and advance technology that will make them all homeless, and probably leading to some kind of cataclysmic international conflict or violence of some sort, because once everybody is out of a job because of this big tech situation, that's where it's going to go. And of course, they buy and they own the politicians, no matter the political party that they fall on, to make sure that this happens. It turns out on top of them, there is another cabal of billionaires who just weren't quite satiated with crushing working people and building their fortune off of their backs. It turns out they actually had to sequester, kidnap underage individuals of this, and perform all kinds of lewd acts. And that's putting it quite kindly, considering what has come to light with the Epstein Files, which we're going to get to all of that and more here on Red Spotlight number 426. Before we get into any of it, I do want to say, there's a lot that's happened as well. I mean, the Grammys have happened. We've had some tragedy as far as who has passed, and I want to dedicate this show to 3 people who I think we should never forget. The first and foremost, we want to dedicate tonight's show to Alex Preddy, who was an ICU nurse who lost his life because he was defending a woman. The ICE Gestapo people have gotten very comfortable with particularly targeting women and throwing them with full force to the ground. So that's something that happens. And so he was helping that poor woman who was just literally being harassed and abused and assaulted, quite frankly, by ICE. And they saw an opportunity to take retribution in that instant, and he got a couple of bullets in the back of his skull for just defending somebody. And that, of course, sparked far more outrage, even more so. It was just more on top of Renee Good. And such, in the days that have, since that has happened, a lot of people who knew him personally have, had these kind of demonstrations and these tributes. And it's just so unfortunate that we have American citizens who are needlessly being executed by the state for literally no reason at all. And for anybody say that it was a mistake, this is the point. This was the point. This is the intended feeling that there are certain individuals in the state. Yes, you have the incompetent fools. Yes, you have the corporate stooges, but you also have the Stephen Millers of the world who are quite literal fascists. Who this is the point. The point is not to. I mean, this whole facade of illegal immigration. No, that was just the baby steps to get to this point that we're at right now, which is the suffering, which is the tragedy. So we wanted to go ahead and. Alex Pretty. Also, I want to dedicate tonight's show to Catherine O'Hara, who passed away at the age of 71 just the other day. She is just yet another giant in the industry that we cover, and an artist, a creator, just this vibrant individual who had so much life and so much more to give as well. She's also in the same company as Diane Keaton, who's just gone too soon, who had so much more to give, who was continuously just in front of our faces with so many projects. She's, for those of us who are in the generation of the mid 1990s, we've always known who she was. She's, visited us every single holiday season. And then as far as her later work is concerned, those of us who love Schitt's Creek, who fell in love with that character of Myra Rose, her passing was one of those where when I saw it and I was scrolling on my phone, the whole world froze in an instant. My heart dropped and I could not believe what I saw. And it feels so unbelievably unfair that of all the people, all of the hateful, evil people in the world, we keep losing people who are not like that and who are like Catherine O'Hara, who was just so full of love and life. And it shatters me completely to think that she's not here anymore. And it so breaks my heart that we won't get the chance to see her anymore in projects.
It's so weird because when it was announced, I mean, obviously, I feel like a lot of people's tradition is to watch Nightmare Before Christmas, to watch Home Alone. Oh, yeah. I literally, like, through my head, or in my head, I'm thinking, I just saw her. Like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just saw her. She just came and visited a few months ago. And this is what happened. So just so it's so sad. And on a more chipper note, but not something that means anything less, we also want to dedicate tonight's show to Bad Bunny, obviously, because what happened?
It's Bad Bunny week.
Well, yeah, it's that true. That it's really his year already. But I do think it is quite a momentous occasion because, we've said for many years, representation does matter. I will say, those of us who happen to belong to the Latino community have always had, there's a lot of wanting as far as like representation is concerned, right? It always has felt like for every step we take forward, we take 3 steps back. As far as I'm aware of, and so far as what I have read, his album was the first ever Spanish language album to win Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards. That is such a monumental achievement. And those who know the Latino community quite well can tell you that we hold on for dear life for those individuals who continue to show the world who our community is, what our culture stands for. And it was a moment for I want to say every Latino of any kind to be proud, because obviously in these troubled times, and I would even say in all times, there is just such deep-seated stereotypes and just and all kinds of xenophobia thrown out there. Obviously, a lot of it is predicated on the basis of the color of skin, which is, something that, quite frankly, seemingly will never go away. Unfortunately, especially if you live in certain parts of the world and certain parts of this country, for sure, that will tell you. But it just means so much, and it obviously means so much for him. 10 years from where he was to where he is right now. Someone who has given so much of his wealth back to his community. We talk so much on this show about people who have accumulated such vast amounts of wealth, and yet they do nothing with it. Instead, they use that wealth to crush people, to advance evil, to destroy the world. Here we have somebody who does not necessarily come from money, who acquired wealth based on his talent, and gives it back to the people who raised him, who the people who are in his home. That is something that doesn't quite happen all the time, and we need to celebrate that, and we need to remind people that there are human beings out there who are actual humanists, who try to do good in the world. And it should obviously go without saying that, of course, the worst people out there, the most evil people who at this point are, quite frankly, not concerned with appearing evil, who are so comfortable in their evilness, they no longer see themselves as that, and they just don't even have the facade, who are just, whenever this person, Bad Bunny, was announced as the halftime Super Bowl performer, all of them were like, how dare they put, an American as the headline show performer? No, but they just saw his skin color, and they also saw his past statements, and they declared war. They declared war on a regular person who just changing the world with his music. It was uniting the world with his music. These are people who mean very different things. Heroes of their own kind, genuine creatives of their own kind, human beings who we should just take the moment to acknowledge and not forget. Especially in these times when we will today talk about so much darkness and so much depravity, so much just soullessness. The idea that we live in a world where people can really be that hollow husked nothingness and inflict such harm to another person. So that's how we're going to open today's show. Alexis, I want to give you the opportunity to speak on any of what I just said, if you wish. I know a lot of these things have crossed your mind. I know they've been weighing heavily on you. I know you particularly were quite emotional at the just some of the clips that came out of the Grammys, for sure, for him. I know you stan, obviously, Bad Bunny, and you have been the entire time. I mean, it was a bit rude of you to not go to his concert when you were in Mexico City quite recently.
We don't talk about that. I tried.
Apparently not hard enough. I mean, you seemingly are, a true globetrotter, and yet you didn't get a chance. You were literally in the same city on the night that he was there. You didn't quite get to go, so there's that. But sure, I want to go ahead and pass over the mic over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that we were going to start this way, so that was really nice. Obviously,
it just came to me. It felt right.
It did. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really want to say more. I think you said it really well, or else I'm going to cry.
No, but I think people do want to hear. It's like, well, what does he mean to you? What does his music mean to you? I think it's important for people to hear this.
Well, not just like him, just like with everything.
Yes, going on.
It was with everything happening the last month. I mean, how you said, it's just been darker than usual. And it's, you want to look away, but you feel guilty looking away, and it's like you're kind of stuck in this place of like, what do I do? How can I help? What, like, just you feel useless, and it's just good to remind ourselves that there is good out there, no matter how hard it is to find sometimes, or sometimes it's easy and you just have to like focus on it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I should have given you warning about like what we were gonna do at the beginning. I feel like you're so, and I don't blame you, used to starting off with just all right, we're gonna get straight to the crap, and we're gonna feel all the fury. We're gonna get to that. Don't worry, that's coming pretty soon. But I did think it would have just been a nice change of pace to just like take a breath, because, as you just said, and as how we've all been feeling. This feeling of it just being a bit much, and it not not slowing down. And I mean, the last time that we were on this show, our main thing was oh, we're gonna invade Greenland. That feels like forever ago. That feels like forever ago. That was just 2 weeks. That was just 2 weeks ago, and things have just changed so radically since then. We've now moved on to the next awful thing. I even, I don't want to get into that. I'm not gonna bring that crap up, but it's like, it's so hard to keep up with, and I feel like it's accelerated to such a degree that I for sure feel the need to, when we do these shows, I want to make sure that the things that we're living through right now are not forgotten.
Yeah.
And so if there are people who wonder why we talk about this and why I include so many fucking clips of, things that I see, and by the way, get ready for those. Got plenty of them tonight. I want to immortalize the moment that we're living in. That way we never ever forget. That way I never ever forget.
Yeah.
We have this thing called Mandela effect.
We hold people accountable. We hold ourselves accountable of how we can be better, and others, how, I don't know, like hold a mirror to themselves and be like, is this you? Like, what are you what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much happening in the world, and I think it's as what happened years ago with COVID. When COVID happened, we kind of we really felt much more emboldened to just talk more about that, because that was a global pandemic that was affecting everyone, and one would be forgiven for thinking that would be the time that things would change for the better.
And just how not that it's been like an easy process to move on from that, but it does sort of feel like people moved on from it really quickly. Like, so many people died.
Yeah.
And that's not like talked about enough.
No, it's not. I mean, there are plenty of people who are going to say, we'll never forget 9/11. I guess we just forgot about COVID and the people who died from there. I mean, in some ways, it all comes back just to this very selfish nature in people. No one ever wants to grapple with the realities of that. What COVID should have been was a collective realization that the way the world was working didn't work actually the way that it should have been, and that should have been the turning point. What's funnily enough, what happened is a Democratic president came into power with all branches of government on his side, and he fundamentally failed to live up to the moment because he didn't even try to. Because and to be fair to him, he never ran on the promise to change anything. During the first election in 2020, he told a room of the most important people in the world, rich donors, he told them, nothing will fundamentally change. He ran on the promise of putting things back to they were in 2016, not on advancing or changing or improving anything, which is why some of us said back then it was a fucking mistake to ever think or put this person or this man in front of anyone's faces. And then what happens? He doesn't live up to anything, constantly just buffoons himself all over TV, loses his freaking mind literally on the last year, doesn't know what room he's in, and then has the gall to say on his way out the door, someone should really do something about money in politics. The less said about that man, the better, as far as I'm concerned. What a miserable failure. His presidency was so anemic, it may as well not even have existed.
Mm-hmm.
Book ended by Donald Trump. You get hired to clean up his mess, do the bare minimum, and then don't do enough to fix people's conditions at all, so badly to the point where they get the guy who they fired to come back in. They get the criminal who they fired to come back, the insurrectionist, criminal, rapist, back into power. That's how badly you made people feel about you. I wasn't trying to get this angry off the bat because there's obviously so much more to go. It's hard to really know where to really begin, but I do feel like I did bring with me a lot of like a show and tell, a lot of clips here that are going to range from a variety of different things. A lot of these are kind of like to the theme of post the latest Epstein release, which, I mean, what can you say to that? They're quite horrific, and that's just, you know, a lot of it was redacted. So that should tell you how much worse the other ones that are left to even be released are. And then also some of these clips have to do with generally, you know, Trump and the decay that is the existence. Again, my point, my hope with the clips that I share with you all is that it paints the best possible picture of the world that we live in. And a lot of the times, most of the times, there is no better substitute for that than the American president. And the American president right now, in this moment in history, what we already knew was a dumbass, brags about a supposed cognitive test that they give to dementia patients or babies, lies about his school grades. He's a draft dodger. He's been found liable in court for sexual assault. The worst businessman in America. He's the best con artist I've ever seen, but the worst businessman in America. Has defrauded so many people. The list goes on and on and on. Really a maniac who cares nothing about himself. And it goes and it goes and it goes. And ironically enough, it's gotten to the point where now, just a year into his second term, he already is showing signs that he is aging even more than Joe Biden did in some ways. Now, that could just be a byproduct of the fact that he was always crazy, to begin with. But the age certainly isn't helping. He turns 80 years old this year.
That's crazy.
He turns 80 years old. And by the way, I'm not going to play this clip, but just, I think it was today. Evidently, there's no other way to say this. He shit himself on camera.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah. And then it was obvious what that was. So, and I'm not really that guy to really, bemoan people for whatever health conditions they have, sure, but this guy's a special case. He's been a deranged asshole to literally everybody in his life. I mean, he buried one of his ex-wives at a golf course. I mean, I don't know what does that say? Again, but what's always made it so infuriating is that this is obviously an individual who should never have been allowed to get this close to power, and yet who literally so many people in the country have convinced themselves as some kind of messiah in a way.
Yeah.
I think that might actually be the best way of talking about it. It still to this day is mystifying how people and you have to wonder. You have to wonder a little bit. The diehards are never going to leave him. But maybe there were like two people on the periphery whom every now and then they doubt themselves. I would not put any stock on ever being hopeful that they would really turn, but things are so bad with this man that sometimes he does get them to think like, this doesn't look good, even though that was the fucking point from the beginning and you were too dumb to actually see it for yourself. But hey, we're not going to judge people, right? I mean, one of the things I will say first, just to get things off rolling in the best way imaginable, here is former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura basically kind of putting to words what we've been saying for, since November 2024.
Last election was really a simple one, and I blame the United States people for this too. They're getting what they deserve because the last election was simple. You had the choice of the Constitution or the criminal, and for some reason, they took the criminal. So they shouldn't be surprised at what they're getting. He's a convicted sex offender. He don't pay taxes. He's a draft dodger, wouldn't serve his country, and yet he stands out there and preaches patriotism to us.
That's just the opening. So this is what we already knew. We've been knowing this for years, all right? It's been 10 years of this, fam. 10 freaking years of this person being in front of our faces. We already knew this 10 years ago. This is not anything new. Okay. This is actually new in the sense that please try the very best you can to follow this. For some of this, for all of us, I think this might be a very painful listening to, but see if you can defend this.
Okay.
We had in my area in Queens, I grew up in Queens, we had a place called Creedmoor. Creedmoor, did anybody know that? Creedmoor. It was I said, Mom, why are those bars on the building? I used to play Little League Baseball there, a place called Cunningham Park. He was quite the baseball player, you wouldn't believe. But I said to my mother, Mom, she would be there, always there for me. She said, son, you could be a professional baseball player. I said, thanks, Mom. I said, why are those bars on the windows? Big building, big, powerful building. It loomed over the park, actually. She said, well, people that are very sick are in that building. I said, boy, I used to always look at that building and I'd see this big building, big tall building. It loomed over the park. It was sort of, now that I think, it was a pretty unfriendly sight. But I'll never forget, I don't know if it's still there, because they got rid of most of them, the Democrats in New York, they took them down and the people live on the streets now. That's why you have a lot of the people in California and other places, they live in the streets. They took the mental institutions down. They're expensive. But I'd say, why does that building have those bars? Boy, it wasn't normal. You're used to looking at like a window. But this one, you're looking at all this steel, vicious steel, tiny windows, bars all over the place. Nobody was getting out. It's called a mental institution. That was an insane asylum. Designated Antifa as...
I'm going to pause right here. Could you follow that? Did anyone understand what he was saying there? Alexis?
Who was he talking to?
He was at the White House briefing room, and he was on the podium talking to a room full of about 100 reporters.
About what?
He was reading comments about Antifa, I guess, and then he went on this rant over... Oh, but wait. And then this is him at on the world stage.
NATO, until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right? The last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. Doing it, I'm helping.
Okay, let's just roll right into number 5. I mean, it really doesn't matter what the order in which he said any of this stuff. It's literally... You
don't want to linger on that for a second? You don't want to linger on his kink about getting called daddy?
They called me daddy.
Very smart man called me daddy.
Emmanuel Macron spit on me.
Okay, called me daddy.
You have to wonder, what goes through this man's mind when he's talking, when he's saying these things out loud? They called me daddy. I don't think of him I was gonna say I don't think of him as a pervert yet. Well, as actions speak otherwise, but I mean, I don't think of him as like as a perverted minded individual. I mean, again, I guess actions do speak for themselves, right? But like it could be, you know, he is that weird guy where maybe he says something where it's like he doesn't hear how it's coming across, to be fair to him, but like this is, by the way, these two clips were like within 48 hours of each other. These clips were within 48 hours, and then the week after, he shits himself in the Oval Office in front of a group of people. And then, but again, you have to think to yourself, okay, why do we put up with this? I think this person, Vosh, put it succinctly. Why is Trump still around?
I understand. I've said this before. Part of being a live streamer is repeating yourself. Here's the game plan. And this is why the deep state loves Trump, okay? Trump is authentically a lunatic. A lot of that is age. A lot of that is also being a megalomaniac, right? Those are the two big ones. And as a consequence, he's very, very, very manipulable, which means that the corporatocracy, the oligarchy, they can put people around him, you know, like J.D. Vance via Peter Thiel, you know, that kind of deal, and suggest things to him, and he will get really hooked on an idea, and he will defend it to the end of his days, and his idiocy gives cover to the corporate agendas being advanced, right? So, for instance, like this Greenland bit, this Greenland thing is being advanced by a number of interests, right? So you have the, like, insane doomsday prepper oligarchs who want to build an anarcho-capitalist freedom city on Greenland as like a final like temple of humanity as the rest of us die in the climate wars, basically, you know, where they rule supreme and they can enact prima noctis upon everyone's daughters, or in Peter Thiel's case, their sons. And then you have like the more like banal corporate types who, you know, they want the mineral rights and they want the oil rights and so on. They just want to extract from Greenland, because Greenland's, it's not as big as the Mercator projection would suggest, but Greenland's quite large and there's plenty of stuff there you could take if you wanted. So for those people, right, like the idea under a normal presidency of seizing Greenland is unthinkable, but under Trump, anything is possible. So the point that I'm getting at here is that I think that as Trump gets more deranged, and make no mistake, he is slipping very fast. It's not just the strokes, okay? The strokes are part of it. But like legitimately, with each passing day, and this is very noticeable if you bother to watch these press conferences or talking to the media.
I would even say I was about to say, one of these days he's gonna slip and say like really something that he shouldn't.
He already has.
Exactly.
But I mean, in such a devastating way that he just can't recover from. I mean, that's just always been the thing.
That's like the thing that gets me so
back.
angry. That like,
yeah,
I can't even think that because it's already happened, and these people still like give him attention and give him power and.
Yeah, so those right there are just meant to really illustrate that particular situation, and
like, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
I know that we've talked about like nobody else has like the influence that he has in his party. If something happens to him, they're going to be scrambling for who the hell is going to, like, take over.
And something happening to him is, you know, kind of, that very well could happen. I mean, he's having a hard time from a health standpoint. Like, he's going to be 80, which is really freaking old, and he's never taken care of himself. We know that from decades of, like, documented history of, like, his eating habits, just first and foremost. And then there's also... He's apparently also a drug addict. Like, apparently he takes speed a lot. He has an addiction to a bunch of pharmaceuticals, which is why you hear him sniff a lot sometimes.
I don't listen to him talk, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I mean, it's you've in the last 10 years. So that's just something. And in case anyone thought that, oh, well, I mean, it's kind of funny, right, to see Grandpa kind of like shit himself on TV, right? It's not funny when he's talking about canceling elections. I just saw a clip. I don't have it in front of me, but Steve Bannon, who is a very close ally of the president, said that they're going to have ICE surround the polls come November.
Mm-hmm. They're
which
like
is what we said.
In Europe for some reason.
They are?
Yes.
That's scary. Like what would they be doing over
exactly.
there? That's not good at all. And then you get questions like this as to just today. Again, I want to remind people this is the 3rd of February of 2026, and the president says that the federal government needs to get involved with the states in helping them decide who wins the individual states. This is what he was asked just today.
Questions. What exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections, and which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest, and if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, you know, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is, I think the federal government, when you see crooked elections, and we had plenty of them, and by the way, we had them last time, but go to 2020 and look at the facts that are coming out. Rigged, crooked elections. If we have areas, take a look at Detroit, take a look at Pennsylvania, take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta. Look at some of the places that horrible corruption.
Aren't those all the places he lost in?
And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes.
All of a sudden,
if they can't
what
count the
happened to
votes
states' rights?
legally and honestly, then somebody else should take
But
over.
the Constitution says it should be states that administer elections, Mr. President. That's what the Constitution
You know what?
says.
They can administer the election, but they have to do it honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
State, as we've seen with even the situation with Alex Pretty, conservatives loved the Second Amendment until they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They love states' rights until they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have no fucking principles. Their only principle is to be awful and evil. That's all it ever has been. People need to open their eyes. There is no consistency of ideology. All it is like, how can I be the biggest fucking asshole on every issue imaginable? And they're there. They're there from the get-go. I mean, just today, there was, I guess, some hearing on Capitol Hill where the Republicans brought in somebody from Warner Brothers Discovery and then also Ted Sarandos from Netflix. The hearing was on the, upcoming merger between the two, which we've been talking a lot about on the show. And it was quite stunning. Obviously, you have individuals like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, who are cretins for the Republican establishment that are just there to run off talking points that are useless, like basically asking questions like Netflix, why do you want to promote trans people? And I'm not going to engage with that stupidity and just the absurdity of those comments. But there was something quite stunning that I think the people need to be exposed to. And it's less about the Republican politicians who we already know that they're evil and corrupt, but it also speaks to just the complete lack of a backbone. And I'm quite surprised. I mean, in a way I'm not. Ted Sarandos says a lot of dumb shit and he says it outly and proudly, but today he said something that took my breath away because I'm like, so this all is predicated from the Grammys. How that comes back to that is weird, but Billie Eilish won, I want to say, right, it's all connected. As we say, Billie Eilish won Song of the Year. Congratulations, Billie Eilish, her 3rd Grammy for that category alone for Song of the Year. And she took a moment of her speech to say that, America is stolen land. If you open a history book, if you ever taken a history course, you would know. Yeah, it is stolen land. I mean, there were nations or nationalities, or there were indigenous groups who claimed territory over this land. And white Europeans came in and said, fuck you, we're taking it for ourselves. And then after that,
here we are.
Oh, beautiful for spacious guys. Here we are. And then, of course, Republicans get mad. It's like, how dare you acknowledge history? How dare you call America bad? And this is what Ted Cruz says. He's basically probing Ted Sarandos. Are we right now on stolen land? And what Ted Sarandos says, I don't know if I have the words. He says, I have no idea of the history of this land. I have no idea of the history of this land. This is the person who runs Netflix, one of the most powerful entities on the planet. And he's saying he has no idea of the history. Obviously, he does. He's being dumb here because he doesn't want to like fall into some kind of like political trap that Ted Cruz set for him. But I just feel like if you're the CEO of that powerful of a company, wouldn't you be? These guys have no shame. Wouldn't you have some kind of like embarrassment factor?
If you like really don't want to answer the question, which
don't
exactly. Why would you? That's crazy. Like
you basically just said I'm a stupid dumbass that has no idea about what happened in a
like just be quiet. I don't know. Like that's so embarrassing.
And I think it perfectly speaks to, I mean, how is it that out of, this is no disrespect to, pop stars, but how does, or I guess artists, you have CEOs and you have United States senators, and how is it that the artist, the musical artist, is correct on the facts of the world, and the other two who are otherwise
who's
by the
like what 21
scene,
22 not that like you obviously could be well educated at that point.
It's not about the age, it's about like what they represent.
Yeah like that's crazy. Continue, because it gets crazier.
No, I mean, of course it gets freaking crazier because we're not anywhere near being done with any of this. I mean, how could we? Because as you can imagine, we're not, because we should mention that ICE's next operations are going to be in Ohio, and they're going to, I think, target Haitian immigrants.
Oh yeah, that's a new development.
Which I will say,
that's going to be
the irony though is interesting because I heard a lot on a lot of leftist podcasts that among the Haitian community, they were fond of Trump. So I'm not saying they deserve what they're going to get. I think the sad thing is people who are so convinced of something like that, even when it's like causing them to hurt and causing them to bleed, a lot of them are going to be like, thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really sad. But here's the other layer of all of this that's just really far more sinister. And it goes well beyond Donald Trump. Donald Trump's obviously front and center, but like it doesn't end with him. At the moment, Bill and Hillary Clinton have been called to testify for Congress, and they have agreed for it to be public and not private, which is interesting. But they've been called because there are now hearings that are going to be happening over their involvement in the Epstein Files and what has happened with Jeffrey Epstein. There's a lot. We have to. There's a lot of clips, but I want to just get to that initial reactions. If they don't make you sick, that's one thing. But lest we not remember, hopefully we shouldn't forget all the people during 2024 who were saying this was a big reason why they were voting Donald Trump. And I do want to point out how silent they're being right now.
Yep. And
the people
also,
who were saying that they cared the most are now crickets. Go ahead.
Also, with the Clintons, this isn't for people to be like, oh, they're gonna save us, they're gonna defeat him. No. I know that they want to make it seem that way, the way that they came out, like, but he is testifying to a sex trafficking ring, or about a sex trafficking ring that he
And whatever
was
affiliation he may have
involved
had.
in,
Yeah.
who his wife, I assume, knew about it, because how can you not when, you know, we've seen evidence of just how involved he was, allegedly. But I hope people don't treat it that way, because what these files have presented us, like, this is not okay in any way, shape, or form. And if you were involved, like, you're disgusting. And even if you do testify, like, you still did these things. And it's not okay.
According to Secular Talk, there are more than 5,300 files containing over 38,000 references to Donald Trump. That was just in the batch of files that were dropped Friday, January 30th. 38,000 references to the current sitting president of the United States. Also, people who were not mentioned in the Epstein Files: drag queens, transgender athletes, librarians, black journalists, radical leftist scum in quotation marks, hungry families needing SNAP benefits, workers on strike, or the cast of Sesame Street. And if that sounds like, why are you bringing these people into it? Well, because these are all the people who MAGA wants to say are the enemy of the American people. And none of those subset of people have been implicated in this child sex trafficking ring. Kyle Kalinske. This country is being run by a blackmailed pedophile. At this point, if you oppose impeachment and removal, I can only conclude you're treasonous or also a blackmailed pedophile yourself. That tends to happen. You kind of get called this if you're constantly referenced to having sex with underage children. Sorry, that's just kind of how it works, right? It's like if you're implicated in this being a continuous thing, you're gonna get called that, and you kind of should. Also, not to be greedy about like blaming one side. Let's go ahead and blame the Democrats now. Sarah Everett says, Biden and Kamala protected the Epstein Files, and I never want to hear a fucking word glorifying them ever again.
Yep.
We want to make sure here, we want to blame everybody who was involved in this. We had a Democratic fucking president, and he didn't release this. We had a Democratic fucking president and a vice president who knew the danger of having this man back in the White House. And the entire time...
Okay, and even if like those people that are like, they was under investigation, clearly that doesn't fucking matter. Clearly the president can do whatever the fuck he wants. And if you really wanted to win, you release them. And that's it. But you didn't.
They fucked every moment of this. In 2024, Donald Trump was under investigation, under criminal investigation. There were 4 different investigations going at the same time, and they were going at the same time because The Biden administration was asleep at the wheel and didn't immediately get the ball rolling day one. And they all went away when Trump won the election because apparently we can't prosecute a president. That's one thing. What a fucking dumbass the Democrats and Joe Biden are. They had this the whole time. Do you not know how to... You're so dumb. You don't even know how to win elections anymore. If that were me, I would have been like, what are you waiting for? Dump this out there so we can save ourselves of another 4 years of madness and tyranny. Instead, what do? Oh, they banned TikTok. They banned TikTok, which then forces that it gets sold to the Alexys, who now control TikTok.
Sick. Great.
This is what the Democrats always do. They fumble and fumble and fumble. And we're all, it's like a punchline, right? It's like the joke's always on us. I mean, I don't know who else it would be for. But yeah, this is kind of where we are. By the way, just to give people a sense of what life is like, this is Apple News Alert on Friday. This is all, I think, one sentence. Anti-ICE protests held nationwide, comma, Senate rushes to avoid shutdown, comma, Department of Justice releases new Epstein Files. That was one day. Guys, that was one day. This is... Do you feel old yet? Do you feel... Oh, here's more. The Trump administration has held covert meetings with separatists in Alberta, Canada. Great. Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura suggests the state secede from the U.S. and join Canada. Oh, and Chuck Schumer apparently did this fundraiser where he was saying he's basically an agent of Israel.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And it was Emma Vigeland says that he is a fascist collaborator. Whether it's weakness, ideology, corruption, or all three will be determined by historians. Funding DHS for 2 weeks. 1, advantages Republicans by letting the national mood cool. And 2, shows that you find ICE too essential to let funds collapse. Yeah.
It's just all crazy. And
it doesn't stop, does it?
It's happening everywhere all the time. It doesn't stop. Oh. The fact that we...
Mr. Bovino over here. So just in case you forgot about him, that was also something we just can't let go. I mean, this is an image of 2026 in America. One of the representatives of DHS. Okay. I think the image speaks for itself. Sorry, Alexis, go ahead. I mean...
Yeah. No.
I'm sorry. Or this. We
fucking guy, I swear.
Just dresses like this. Okay. Again, I think the that seems to speak for itself. Oh my god. Anywho. We can go ahead now and get into this whole thing with Epstein and all the stuff that we need to talk about because it's just insane. We're gonna go ahead and begin here with the report from CNN. All right, I edited this down so it won't be too long, but here's a highlight reel of what people might need to be aware of.
Donald Trump's name appears thousands of times in these new documents. In some, he's merely mentioned in emails that Jeffrey Epstein sent to other people. But the files also contain a complaint from a woman who accused Trump of raping her in 1994 when she was just 13 years old. According to the FBI document, this accuser, who is identified as Jane Doe, said that Jeffrey Epstein was, quote, angry that Trump was the one to take her virginity and that she was also raped by Jeffrey Epstein. This woman had previously launched lawsuits against Trump and dropped them. The last one happened right before the 2016 election. The president has...
Why'd she drop them? By the way, how are Trump supporters trying to spin this? For the most part, they're just ignoring it. The official position of the MAGA movement is that none of this happened, and if it did, pedophilia is good, actually. Like unironically, that's where they're at. It is a death cult. They believe in nothing besides collective suicide. But man, wouldn't it have been cool if the Democrats had actually pushed for the release of the files? I mean meaningfully. Not as this, like, desperate, half-assed, last-second, post-Trump winning in 2024 effort, but more of a, like, as soon as Biden wins, he prosecutes Trump for treason, and then also, as a fun little drop, puts out the Epstein Files, and then presumably puts Larry Summers and everyone else affiliated with Epstein in a deep, deep hole in the ground. I'm not voting for any president in 2028 who does not promise to spend an enormous amount of money sending U.S. carrier fleets over to the seas outside of Little St. James and shelling it until there is no island left. I want to know exactly how many Tomahawk missiles it would take to vaporize the island and reduce its entire mass to a sizzling, broiling, brackish, murky, undersea dune. You know? I want to know exactly. I know we can do it. I know we have the money.
I gotta say, I'd support it. I think if there ever was an island that needs to be vaporized, I think it would be that one, right? Like, why keep it around? Who would want to go there? It's like...
I can't... Ooh, no.
Right? Like...
Mm-mm.
No to any of that. Yeah, we got more here. This is actually a really fun clip here because this is actually I think it's European or UK, I want to say, but they're talking about this as well.
The stuff that is alleged about Trump is horrific, and we can't even say it on the air.
Why not?
But I don't know.
But if there's truth in it, that's the difference.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I'm really struggling here. Sorry, I'm really struggling here. I'm going to try and stay calm with this, okay?
Well, finish her.
Because you and your party are very vocal when it comes to protecting women and girls. And here we are faced with the most cruel, brutal, elite, unpunished grooming gang, paedophile ring in the world, and it is remarkable how quiet you all are. It is remarkable. And also, I need to know, you are a defender of Trump, you praise him, your party, Farage, you align very closely. Do you, I think the viewers should know, given everything we know about Trump that's in these files that we know of him to date, do you still support him?
Look, but this, to me, it's not about Trump. This is about believing in due process. You know, I will finish.
I just asked the question.
I will finish.
You can see through this.
But I mean, I think you still support him, right? Because as you're saying, he's not guilty in your terms.
I believe in a due process.
Right. Okay.
Can I excuse me, Marina?
Right, go for it. Go for it.
Go on. You go for it, Andrea. I'll try and hold...
You're not the host here, Jeremy.
No, it's fine.
Now, the fact is, do I support Trump? He's a democratic leader. Now, if anybody is seen to have been involved, whoever it is, whichever party,
but you want to see people
in
go through
underhand tactics and an abuse like that to a minor, then they need outing.
But
excuse me, Marina.
Just a minute, Andrew. Let Marina say her thing. I'll come back to you.
The due process isn't happening because under him, there are still millions of files that haven't been released. I can't believe. In fact, I looked. There is no mention of you ever talking about women and girls unless it's through the lens of immigration. But here, when faced with this guy who's on your side, not a peep. He has been found all.
But what do you think he's done though?
Forget what's in the files. So if you want to pretend,
yes, it is.
If you want to pretend,
worth me even sitting here? Do you not get a word in edgeways?
Let me just answer.
I need these people to read what are on these files and like ask them to their face. Like, it's not enough that they're just like, his name is all over. No, I need somebody to walk in that office. I know it happened today with the CNN reporter. Yeah. I need somebody to go in that office with a piece of paper, read it out loud in front of him, and see if he denies that. which he will, but I need this to happen.
Well, speaking of, here's today.
Epstein Files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned 2 names. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Now that nothing came out about me, other than. It was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead,
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth, and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
These are survivors.
Was that satisfactory enough? And by the way, obviously it wasn't. But there's also another element in this that's not really being discussed as much. There have been long-held suspicions that in addition to just good old-fashioned blackmail, from representatives of Epstein. This is long-held suspicion that he was an agent of Mossad, which is aligned with the Israeli government, and that the Israeli government is also blackmailing the president. And it also speaks to why, how much the Israelis knew about this and also allowed this to go on, and why we continue to put our arms around them and say that they're such big allies. I'm glad that on the Piers Morgan program, Anna Kasparian called attention to this, and of course, they didn't really know what to do with it.
What was really going on with Epstein? Because Epstein was more than just a serial pedophile and a pervert. He was an incredibly powerful man who was, by the way, in multiple instances in the files that were just released, talking about his work for Mossad, talking about his work for the Rothschilds. I mean, it just goes on and on. And so can we discuss the blackmail operation that was taking place and which government that's a special ally of the United States put him up to it? And do we really want to be allies with a country that kidnaps young girls for rape just so they can have dirt on American politicians and control our foreign policy? Spoiler alert, the topic was changed promptly to Epstein's relationship with Russia, and we did not talk about the blackmail operation.
That's kind of a big thing. And then it's like, they were like, oh, well, anyway, what's happening in Russia, and how did Epstein relate to Russia? Huh? That's so a really big thing.
Frustrating. Like, what do you mean?
These clips are wiping me out. It's just like one after the other. But lest we forget, obviously, that there are other individuals here to keep in mind, who may want to get away from getting any kind of the blame. But we cannot at any point underestimate the impact the podcaster, the comedian, right-aligned podcaster space had in rehabilitating the image of Trump when it comes to young men and promoting that kind of behavior to young men. And now all of a sudden, they're kind of getting cold feet on and getting buyer's remorse over what they chose. So here is Andrew Schultz of the Flagrant podcast.
Talk about what happened in Minneapolis. ICE murdered an American citizen in cold blood, and then the Trump administration called him a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, plain and simple.
Yeah.
I see the administration trying to spin it, and it's fucking disgusting. Yeah. It's like they didn't even have a moment where they're like, hey, we're reviewing the footage, we're going to try to see what's really happening. All of them, Trump and all the cronies, put out collective statements that immediately blamed an American citizen that was exercising his First and Second Amendment rights. Right? He has a right to protest. He has a right to carry a firearm. He's a legal gun owner. Right? There's no question about this whatsoever. And the administration immediately comes out and they try to gaslight the public, which you cannot do when we have 15 different videos of what happened.
I gotta be honest, man. Andrew, you know how it comes across? When you had on Trump and you guys were giggling with him and chuckling with him and shooting the shit and having like an easy interview and not really asking any tough questions, when you had him on, you were surfing the vibes online. Yep. It was very fashionable in that moment online to be with Trump, to be like, oh, we feel like edgy outsiders and we feel like we're supporting the guy that the system doesn't want us to support. So we're going to ride those vibes. I'm going to be a vibe monger and hop on the Trump train. And so the same thing that led you to effectively help Trump during the election is the same thing that's leading you now to go, I don't know about all this, dog. I'm going to tiptoe out of the room slowly. In other words, the vibes have shifted. The energy has shifted. Everybody feels the same thing, that, oh my God, this is horrific. This is fascism. This is imperialism. This is colonialism. This is the most corrupt regime I've ever seen. They don't give a fuck about regular people. Unemployment's out of control. Inflation's out of control. Over 30% of the entry-level jobs have been replaced by ChatGPT. The economy's turned into shit. We're in a serious amount of trouble. And so now the vibes online are fuck Trump, fuck MAGA, fuck everybody who is on the Trump train. And so now you, because your job is being a comedian, your job is to be an entertainer, your job is to be a public figure, and what you're good at is, which way is the wind blowing? Let me take the temperature of the room. Let me try to readjust and recalibrate, because I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to be ignored. I don't want to be in the dustbin of history because I wasn't able to adjust with the vibes. And so you rode the vibes when it was pro-Trump. Now you're trying to ride the vibes that it's anti-Trump. That's how it feels to me. That's how it feels to me. Okay. And people might have different reactions to him. Some might say, okay, whatever. I accept what he's saying now. And some might say, hey, fuck you, man. You need a real fucking accounting for what you did and how you helped fascism rise in this country.
You guess which ones of what category of people we fall in as far as Andrew Schultz is concerned. I just want to say, Andrew Schultz, and I mean this with all due disrespect. I just look at him and I just think like he looks like a dumbass. First of all, I don't know who told him to wear his hair like that. I just to be real with you. And if it's me saying that, that's when it's bad. That's number one. Number two, he's a fucking comedian who clearly is a dumbass and doesn't know shit about politics. And he clearly is very terrified of how he's being perceived because he helped this man get back into power after he incited an insurrection to overturn the results of an election he lost. Nuremberg trials. I'm sorry, Andrew Schultz, you're not innocent in this, and neither is any of your team, and neither is any of the people who inhabit your space, who you just basically did propaganda for a rapist pedophile.
Yep.
It's kind of where it is. It's not unlike, though. It's very unlike Jon Stewart, who he is a comedian, yes, but he actually is smart, and he actually has a fundamental understanding of the issues that plague the country. And I was happy to see that over the last week, there is traction gaining for getting this man into the presidential race. Here, published in the magazine Current Affairs, the headline is, "We might just need to draft Jon Stewart." I'm going to read you a blurb, right? I should say an excerpt. The comic, whose show is still viewed by millions every week, has long been one of the fiercest and most articulate critics of the right. Stewart describes himself as having socialist or independent politics and has no ties to the unpopular, sclerotic Democratic Party establishment. A Stewart candidacy would excite people. He would run rings around humorless, distinctly unlikable characters like Vance and Marco Rubio, who lack the special sauce that Trump has. What the Democrats need, if they are to get back into power, is candidates who hold sincere progressive convictions, but aren't tarnished by the completely toxic brand of the National Party. Sanders was great for that because he's officially an independent, so he was free to criticize the record of the Obama administration. Stewart is as independent as they come and has been absolutely brutal in his criticism of feckless Democratic leaders like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. He is well educated on the issues. He can hold his own on an economics argument with Larry Summers, supports single-payer healthcare and has been forthright in his criticizing Democrats for their hypocrisy in supporting Israel's brutalization of Palestine. In a discussion on the Gaza genocide with Peter Barnard, Stewart stressed the need for moral clarity on Israel on something self-evidently horrific and inhumane. Stewart can be brilliant at exposing bullshit, and some of his interrogations of pompous politicians have been devastating. Watching him cross-examine the Deputy Defense Secretary about the Pentagon's budgeting is deeply satisfying, and he has charisma. Charisma is important in a leader. Put Jon Stewart together with the Mamdani video and social media team, and to my mind, you've got an operation that will be hard for any Republican to beat. This is what we've been saying. This is what we mean. And in case you want to continuously doubt, here, we're going to go ahead and finish this round of clips with the one, the only one, of course, that can, I think, broadcast this with the utmost authority and, of course, with the fiercest bite imaginable. Here is Jon Stewart from The Daily Show. This was in response to, obviously, everything that we have been saying. Here he is now.
They've been on the plane. They've been on the island. They've been to his house. They've given him creepy cards with pubic hair. They've been accused by a multitude of women of a multitude of wrongdoings, and nothing has happened to any of them. Any of them. Oh, except Prince Andrew. Oh, Prince Andrew, stripped of the title Prince.
And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do.
And boy, does the DOJ have other things to do. You know, looking into this decades-long sex trafficking network for the rich and powerful is stopping the DOJ from getting the people who really deserve to be punished.
If you are here illegally, you gotta go. Why? Because you're breaking the law.
No one is above the law.
Sanctuary city policies have to end. Well, after watching the politically well-connected skirt any form of legal accountability for horrible f***ing crimes, it seems pretty clear to me that there is a sanctuary city in this country. But guess what? This kid don't live in it. The real sanctuary city is where money and power protect you from the consequences of sex trafficking or influence peddling or taking $500 million and giving away America's AI infrastructure. Not the small Midwestern city where trying to help a lady get up after she gets maced gets you shot in the back of the f***ing head. That's the real sanctuary city. And these are the motherfuckers who live there.
Every week that we come in and we do this show, we have to continuously remind ourselves of the state of the world. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. Yes, we're of age now where it feels very existential, but I do honestly feel like never before has it felt like this, even to people who are in their 80s and 90s, where it's just like there is a secret society this entire time that, because they were rich and powerful, thought they could do whatever they wanted. And they were correct. They could do whatever they wanted, and they still are continuing to do whatever they want because their money and wealth protects them. But whatever successes and riches they had in their lives wasn't enough. They had to set up a human sex trafficking ring. And so many people, their lives, and by the way, it wasn't just that they were raped. A lot of them were just flat out murdered as well. You know, just to do away with the evidence as much as possible. Very horrific. Should probably dedicate tonight's show as well to all the victims through, I don't know how many victims, how many years of hell that was going on. And what gets me particularly infuriated is that all the fucking conspiracy theorists always take out their anger on the wrong fucking people, and they always seem to back they back up the actual perpetrators of this conspiracy themselves. I just hate it that every single time there is a legitimate critique, the people who end up gaining power are the ones who are the perpetrators themselves. every single time. And it I will say it's very alarming to realize the world that we inhabit. Very, very alarming.
And like world, because obviously the US is not the only people involved. They might be the main ones, but I wouldn't say it's comforting, but it is a little bit like, okay, we're not the only ones, but it's also like, I think 10 times scarier to realize that it's like everyone's involved, you know? And I guess like the only thing that I really want to say, at least like pertaining to this, there's different layers to all of this. I do believe that we are, at least in the US, we are where we are because this is who we are.
Yeah.
It is not us copying somebody. This is who we are. But pertaining to the other part, all I have to say is nobody has been sent to jail for this. The one person who has was a woman. These men who have all the power and money in the world, the only other thing they can do to entertain themselves, because they have nothing else to do, is to hurt other people, specifically women, specifically children of both genders. And it took this for people to start believing, and not when the actual victims came out and said that this was happening. So it's really frustrating. And I do hope that something does come out of this and it just is not for nothing.
There's a lot. I don't even know how to transition out of it, but to kind of tie it back into Hollywood, obviously, because that is also a world that's very much enshrined and entangled with the Epstein world as well. I am reminded of a moment from this at the 2020 Golden Globe Awards. There's Ricky Gervais.
You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a...
Hold on, let me just...
Spoiler alert, Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay.
And it's still more fun than this, okay?
Okay, let me
Girl.
rewind that. Here we go.
You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right.
It's just crazy to me. It's like, when you think about Jeffrey Epstein, it's like, who the fuck was this person? How the fuck did he even get into a position to do this in the first place? Why did he become like the it girl that everybody wanted to be around? Insanity. The things that these people convince themselves they can be able to do just because they have immense wealth and power. And it should be, in many ways, a testament as to why perhaps maybe Bernie was right. In 2020, he was asked on the debate stage, "Do you think billionaires should exist?" He said, "No, maybe not." Because I think this is kind of a primary example of what money can help a sick mind do. I don't think money entirely corrupts a person. There's a lot of factors involved, but it helps. Definitely helps, and it helps open a lot of doors to a lot of ways that can inflict suffering on many, many people. But we're gonna kind of like clumsily transition into something else. I do want to say, that clip you just watched was from the Golden Globes. We talked about the Golden Globes last time. Has it gone? I think it has gone a little bit unnoticed, but I saw that some people were talking about this online. A little bit more lighter affair than child sex trafficking ring. So we're gonna walk out of that one for a minute. But if you saw the Grammys, and you've been watching the Grammys for the past couple of years, certainly since Trevor Noah was hosting, I never do, to be clear, and I never will anymore for a lot of reasons. But I'll just watch clips. But if you noticed the layout post-COVID, that wasn't how it used to be. If you look back to the Grammy shows from the 2010s and before, it was like stadium seating.
Yeah.
And if it was like a lot more like what the Oscars would look like but the Oscars have like actual like comfortable chairs, and the Grammys have like fold out chairs. So that was something. But post COVID, they redid it where like, and it wasn't just the Grammys. It was a whole bunch of award shows. A lot of music award shows, just instead of like having the stars sit in normal like chairs, they did this like new floor with like dinner tables and fancy stuff. And it's like, if I were the Golden Globes, I would be looking at all these other award shows, the Grammys, and like, bitch stole my look. Because that's exactly what just happened, right? Like, the Golden Globes format of where they broadcast from the Beverly Hilton Hotel, every other award show just copied that. Now, if you ask me, that's cultural staying power. And which is why we say for many, many years, this is the singular show that is our favorite, at least the favorite to cover and to talk about. And yet, well, so many people online are just freaking haters and want to say it's the worst ever, it's the worst run, it's so embarrassing, it's at the bottom of the totem pole, all these different things. And yet, when you look around cultural impact, I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't get, what was it, Bad Bunny sitting with Miley Cyrus of all people at the front. I mean, also, who comes up with these arrangements is also quite strange. At least with the movie shows, the Hamnet team sits together.
Yeah,
or the Sinners team sits. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Here, it's weird how that's all kind of arranged, to tell you the truth. Not saying that, even at the Globes, I'm sure they have these weird mismatches. I'm sure not everything gets their own table and they have to share with somebody else. But that being said, like, it is interesting who they decide to sit with who.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd seemed to love when Trevor Noah took a dig at Nicki Minaj, who has come out full MAGA. So there's that. I don't know what to say to that, but like, hey, there's that. At least the crowd loved that joke. And obviously a lot of the stars were, wearing their Ice Out pins. And I will say this. Good on the Grammys for never really discouraging artists to say whatever they want on stage. Because I do think one of the things that has been a little bit lacking this award season, and to be fair, we've only had the Critics' Choice and the Globes, and now the Grammys. But up until just this week, with so much happening in the world,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't only until just this week where some of the actual award winners said something about what was happening in the world. It did feel a bit off as to why it was that, as far as the movie and the TV people weren't really wanting, or maybe they weren't comfortable, whatever it was, as they normally would be, to bring up what was happening. But of course, that didn't stop the musicians or the artists. And good for them for not being afraid.
That is something that I do like from the Grammys, that like, even like the red carpet and like, they are more like, their artistic expression is more evident, which I
encouraged.
Yes, which I enjoy. Obviously, like, all these people are artists, like they should be doing these things. I obviously like the Oscars and like the fancy, that's cool, but I would rather much prefer for all of these award shows to be like that, because you know, it would just be more fun and not so
I want to ask you though,
performative.
I think it's really interesting how they do things with how they produce that show. People consistently talk about it as the best award show, but I do feel like there is a fundamental reason why I don't watch it. For the most part, I do feel like it's not the same as with the Television Academy or the Film Academy, but the Music Academy, the Recording Academy, I think as they're known over there, I think they themselves, like any awards group, they do fall into the same trap of being lazy and awarding the same group of people over and over and over again. Far be it for me to say or to be, a judge on like what's great music or not. Mm-hmm. Personally, if you ask me, there are artists who I love across all genres, across all ages. But if you ask me, like, and I think in a way I'm kind of like a musical chameleon. I do kind of like switch every now and then, like what kind of music I do prefer. Mm-hmm. If there's like a sweet spot for me, it's always been like good old fashioned and maybe even in a modern way soul music, which is why artists like Anderson .Paak or Bruno Mars or Daniel Caesar or SZA or Coco Jones or Money Long or even Kehlani, those kind of the sound that those artists have. Oh, Leon Thomas. I just listened with that. That's a great freaking song, and he had a great performance. I didn't check out all the performances. I hear they weren't that great, but the ones that I do know of had some pretty good vocals, and I did hear him, and he obviously can freaking sing live. Yeah. Of course, we know this. We've been knowing this, and I'm so happy for him to finally, through all these years, in this industry, it's so hard to, wipe away or to like get away from the image of like a teen sensation and then like have a different persona. But I think he genuinely has found a footprint that he can grow on as an artist. And I really have enjoyed the music that he's been making lately. And I'm happy to see that taking off for him. I'm happy for him for that happening. So that's great. And obviously he can perform. It's funny. I was hearing some people saying that in some cases Reba had the best vocal of the night, which should tell you just how some of the artists weren't. Reba, who is, by the way, 70 years old, going to be 71, great. 71, and who that by the way is a Grammy winner, but had never performed on the Grammy Awards until this year.
Oh wow,
which is strange, for a lot of reasons. Reba's a very interesting figure. She's been nominated for a Tony, for a Golden Globe, for an Emmy. Obviously has won Grammys and a whole bunch of music awards. She's an interesting person because she doesn't really fit the mold. She's known as like this, fixture in country music, but she kind of like dabbles in a whole bunch of different things. Obviously, a lot of people our age know her from the Reba TV show from the early 2000s, who people still quote the show and the song to this very day, which is funnily enough. But she's the best 70-year-old I've ever seen in my life. Just like and I think I saw someone on a tweet say like she's looked the same throughout my whole adult life,
or
my
seriously.
whole life, for instance, which is like crazy. But yeah, but I did check out a few of the other some snippets of the vocals. Bruno Mars always is a great live performer. To this very day, I'm just I haven't gone to many concerts, but he's one of the few that I've gone to, and to this day, I can't bring myself to ever forget a single moment of that night, because what an entertainer that individual is. And I think anything he ever puts out is up my alley. And I'm always like so frustrated with people who are like, why does everything he puts out sound the same, as if it doesn't apply to other artists as well? I mean, for it, and that shouldn't be a dismissive thing to even say, to tell you the truth. I grow tired of it when they say that about Taylor Swift, although I have my issues with her music as of late, or Gaga. And, I think Gaga put out a great pop album last year, and I was happy to see her win. So, and I think I did watch
I liked a lot of the winners. Well. And I feel like I also knew a lot of the winners, which also I think is a change. So that, I don't know. I like this year's.
Which ones did you like of the winners?
Luther
Vandross.
I don't
know what I mean.
I don't
You
understand
what
what happened. I saw the clip, but I was confused.
So was she. And so was everybody else. This is the funniest thing. So this is yet another case of these award shows getting an individual that represents the elderly class. This happens a lot with the Oscars, where, remember with La La Land and Moonlight, they got Warren Beatty and they fucked up. They said the winner was La La Land, and it ended. That was really bad. Then what happened? There was this one year where they literally wheeled out Liza Minnelli with Lady Gaga, and she seemed to not know where she was, which was quite sad. That's another instance right then and there. Then the other year, Al Pacino came out to award Best Picture, and that in and of itself was a fuck up, where he read the envelope. He says, "My eyes see Oppenheimer." Everybody was like in silence, not knowing what the hell was going on. Then the music plays. I guess Oppenheimer won, and then Al was like, "Wait, what happened?" It was just mass confusion. This happens a lot. So then Cher, who's speaking about looking great for their age and being eternally young. This woman's 80 plus.
Everybody go read her book. Point. It's amazing.
I think I saw
she was born in El Centro.
Yes, of course. But I think I saw she did a performance last year on SNL and was incredible.
I love her.
Anyway, she comes out, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was getting an award of some kind. But then supposedly the story goes that she had been told previously by Trevor Noah that, hey, by the way, you're not just getting something and you're giving a speech, you're also going to present this award. So what happened is she gets out there and she gets her award. She says her speech, and I think she kind of gets lost in the speech, maybe didn't prepare, and then she just wanders off the stage. Only for Noah to kind of like get her to come back to the stage. And so like Cher comes back and like, oh, by the way, I forgot to give out this award. She has an envelope in her hand while she's saying this. The nominees play, and then she's looking deadpan at the screen, and there's silence. At this point, we're all waiting for her to announce who won. And then someone's getting her attention off the screen, and she's like, oh, I thought they were going to put it on the projector. She has an envelope in her hand. She has an envelope in her hand. So then she has to open it, and then she opens the envelope, and of course at this point she's flustered because she's already fucked up twice.
Yeah. Oh.
And of course third time's a charm, because the winner ended up being the song record of the year. It was the category, and it was Luther with that was SZA and Kendrick Lamar's collaboration. But that song was based off of a song by Luther Vandross, which is quite good. I should hope people listen to it as well. Luther Vandross, no longer with us, has been dead for, I think, 20 years. So she opens the envelope and she says, and the award goes to Luther Vandross. And then Luther plays, and then she's like, oh no, Luther, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA. So she's that poor thing. She was a mess. But I don't want to say it's the age. I think that really could have happened to anybody, especially with the confusion, because the timing didn't help. I mean, that you're getting an award, you're saying a speech, then you got to transition to the next thing. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
The part where I'm like a little, I think she got flustered is like, okay, you're holding an envelope. What are you waiting for? She's like waiting for the screen, like, oh shit. And then she says Luther Vandross, somebody who's been dead for 20 years.
There's no way.
This is why I love live TV, and you can't. There's no substitute for live TV when shit like this happens. Come on, this is amazing stuff. So there's that. Anywho, okay, so we can go with some of the winners. Luther won record of the year.
Here,
how do you feel about that?
It up.
Yeah, we have a couple of winners here.
Let me see.
For the Grammys here. People were complaining. We can begin wherever we like, but I did hear that people were complaining about Billie Eilish winning song because that was technically from an album that was released in 2024.
Yeah.
Sure. However, this category wasn't album of the year. It was it was song of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that song, it's Wallflower, right? Is that what
yeah.
Wildflower? It's
Wildflower.
Wildflower. that was released as a single in the year 2025. And this is where it also gets confusing. The Grammys already have a very weird calendar they operate on about what's eligible. So, for instance, this is a ceremony that just broadcast this past week in 2026. There were quite a few albums that came out in 2025 that were not eligible for consideration because they came out post-September.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. When they say record of the year versus album of the year?
Mm-hmm. Record, okay. It's basically single of the year. It's a weird name. When they say record of the year, single, the best single of the year.
So then what's
the
Wildflower?
one song. I'm sorry?
So then what's Wildflower?
This is where my confusion has always been. To me, it's always felt like there's two categories that are basically the same award. I think the only way you can distinguish is, and again, I haven't been a Grammy expert in 10 plus years, so I'm going off of memory here. I think record is in regards to the most successful, well-liked single of the year, whereas song of the year is more so from a songwriting standpoint aspect. This is what I have rationalized it as, but I don't think there really is much, daylight between the two different categories. They just sound like the same, and it's just they created another category to just maybe give out more awards. I think that might be the best real answer we can give you at this point. Yeah.
Weird. Let's see. I like that she won. Obviously, there was Golden. I saw a lot of people upset that Golden didn't win. But
Golden is the first K-pop song to win a Grammy.
Huh?
It won a Grammy earlier in the day, I want to say. Golden did win a Grammy.
Oh.
It was a different category.
Oh,
but it
okay.
wasn't that
Then
particular
we're fine.
category.
Then yeah,
and it becomes the first official K-pop song to ever win a Grammy.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, because, compared to the other ones on the list, I know maybe people will say Man-Child. It's good. I like it. I think the only other, real contender for Wildflower was Debí Tirar Más Fotos, because that song specifically. But,
it is everywhere,
and
it's big. We got him somewhere else. He did win a few Grammys that night.
And I like that Billie Eilish one because I was very upset that she didn't win anything last year.
Which is, I remember you were upset about that, except for the fact that she did win already several times before. But I know it wasn't for this
but it's not
record,
for this one.
Not for this album, which very much you connected with. Especially because, what one album was it? Cowboy Carter.
Was last year?
It
Beyonce?
was.
Was it?
I think it was Beyonce. Yeah.
Was it? Ugh.
It wasn't Kendrick, right? Kendrick won something else. I think he won Record of the Year.
Again? Dang. No, wait.
Not Like Us.
Was it? It wasn't Sabrina? No.
I don't know if she won last year. No.
I don't remember. Anyways, Best New Artist, Olivia Dean. I love.
Oh, she's amazing.
I love. I thought it was a little weird that the Marias were nominated for this, because they've been around for forever. Well, has Leon
Best
Thomas.
New Artist to them. They clearly didn't know who they were before. That's to be clear.
Let's see. Best Pop Solo, Messi. I actually would have given this to Justin Bieber.
What was the song it was nominated for?
Daisies.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I love that song.
Can we just pause real quick? There was a lot of hullabaloo about his appearance on the Grammy stage.
I just don't think he wants to do this anymore.
I don't think he
be in these spaces. Which
okay.
Best pop duo, Defying Gravity.
Yeah. Of course. I think he also gave a pretty good. No, of course not. He gave a pretty good vocal. He didn't wear any clothes to the performance, but there's that.
Best pop vocal album, Lady Gaga. I'm so happy she won something.
It's been a minute since she's won something that I can recall.
Yeah.
The last time she won, I think anything was for Shallow. I think,
yeah. I was gonna say she hasn't made an album in a few years, but she has made albums. But she was like kind of going back and forth with a lot of things, so I don't think she was like.
They suffered creatively. I mean, she did have a big hit in 2020. I think "Rain on Me." That was and there was a whole album around that, but that was like basically 5 years in between that and.
But I love this album. I love her. Like the concerts that she's doing. Oh my, her Coachella performance will live with me forever and ever. I love her. Tame Impala won for best dance electronic record, I guess. Oh, I like that. I love that album. Abracadabra won. It's a good song. Yeah, I mean, I feel like for the most part, like I do. Like I think the other Turnstile one, I love them.
Generally, I do like that there are some pretty good winners every now and then. There is, I think, a critique that should be made about them returning to the same people many, many times. And this is not about Billie Eilish winning Song of the Year 3 times. I mean, good for her. But, I mean, how many times has Taylor Swift won Album of the Year? I think it's been 4 at this point.
She didn't get any nominations.
Does she need them?
I think she did. Also, I don't know if this one. I don't know what people are saying about this one, but
I don't think she was eligible. Alexis, is that for that Ophelia thing or whatever, or the Last Showgirl? Didn't that come out in like October? That's why it's not eligible. It's not for the.
Wasn't it like in May?
Okay. Clearly, this is why we're not the music people, guys. I don't know the particular.
Oh,
I thought
it was. It was in October. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay. So then that
wasn't eligible for next time. Next year, she probably will get some nominations.
Next year, Rosalia is gonna win everything. So, whatever. The Cure won over Hayley Williams. Oh, but it's a performance. That one's a bit tricky because I do like her solo album, but I also The Cure is The Cure.
Yeah.
But her solo album is really good. Oh yeah, here they won. The Cure won album as well over the Hayley Williams album.
It seems as if the Grammys are gonna get a new home next year, or I guess they're getting a new host. I guess Trevor Noah's not gonna come back.
It's my last year. It's my last year.
Yeah. Interesting.
I guess like 2 last things with the Grammys. Where is? I don't know how to say her name. Laufey. No?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, you should listen to her. You would like her. She gives Olivia Dean gives her vibe. So
okay.
Where is it? Hold on. 4. Girl, why is there so many categories? Do they really like say all these categories? They don't, right?
No.
Okay.
They only say 9. They only give out 9
50.
awards.
What are you talking
Yep.
about? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
The rest are presented on the red carpet or before the red carpet.
Oh. Here we go. Okay. Oh, I see the other category that he went in. Okay. So, Best Latin Rock or Alternative Album went to Papota by Catriel and Paco Moroso. That was like my album of the year, besides Bad Bunny. And I was really happy that they won. So then going back to Bad Bunny, both of his speeches, bawling. The first one, which was when he got the Música Urbana album, it was entirely dedicated to talk bad about ICE and talk about immigrants. Not even talking about the album, not even talking about the win. Amazing. And then the last the album of the year, bawling so much. He dedicated, I mean, and you could see like why he did this, like specifically with this album. He dedicates it to immigrants, to those who have lost somebody, to those who have left their home. And like that's essentially what the album talks about, and the fact that like it's happening, that it happened at this moment in time.
It's a great win. There's a lot of reasons why it should have been him. Not to say that nobody else didn't deserve to win, but it just feels like this is who we should be getting behind right now, because what he is speaking to is universal as to what is happening right now. And it's going to make for a very entertaining Super Bowl halftime show.
I can't wait. I'm so excited to see who he brings out. If he brings out anybody. I can't even. I'm going to be bawling.
It's going to be fun. Before we entirely move off of music, these last couple of days I've been sending you so many clips. I thought what has been just like really funny to watch was, this is associated with the Grammys. So the Grammys apparently do this thing where they do a person of the year, and they get like their own like little show, the thing before. So I guess this person of the year was Mariah Carey, and they arranged a tribute concert,
which you are a big fan of.
Oh yeah. In a lot of ways, she's just hilarious. Anytime for real, like anytime she's doing something, she's just like, she doesn't even seem like a real person sometimes, and she just has the funniest shit. And her facial expressions are like, I mean, she's definitely like an inspiration for me. Like sometimes like people laugh at my facial expressions, they're nothing compared to hers. Like she can say so much with a look. It's so funny to me. Anywho, I mean, I never heard a song of hers, but my first introduction to her was actually, it was in high school when I got really into, I think it was from the years 2007 to 2012. I got really into American Idol. Back then, it was a lot bigger of a deal than it is obviously today. And around the year, I think it was 2012, I think Jennifer Lopez and Steven Tyler left, and they brought in country music Australian Keith Urban, and they also brought in soon-to-be MAGA acolyte Nicki Minaj, and then they brought in Mariah Carey. And it was like the cat fight of the year. It was amazing, must-watch live TV. Those two did not like each other at all.
I bet she loved that call out to.
I'm sure she did, and I think a lot of people feel like
her.
I think a lot of people were like thinking, history has like kind of gotten on her side of things because at the time, she is a diva and she doesn't, apologize for any of that. That's what it is. But Nicki Minaj is also a whole other thing. And that whole thing was just weird because they just didn't seem to like each other at all from the very beginning. And then it just kind of like, by the end of that season, like they were just, instead of like critiquing the contestants, they were just throwing shade at each other left and right. Which was, I thought, hilarious. So there's that. And then after she got off the show, I was listening to, I think the first song I ever heard of hers, aside from her cover of the Jackson 5 I'll Be There song, was a duet that she did with Miguel. This was, I think, 2013. It's called Beautiful. And I had this like real like cool R&B just like vibe to it. And then after that, I kind of just like, okay, I'll listen to more and I'll listen to more. And ever since then, I just like, okay, I really do love the way that she produces her albums. I think she does have a tendency sometimes to be a little bit overproduced, but this last one that she came out with was just far more of a raw vocal. I do think that a lot of people are just generally not fair. Does she always like do the best performance? No. Does she give the best energy sometimes? Not necessarily. But when you've been singing impossibly hard songs for decades, it takes a toll on you. And I don't find the issue to be that terrible. I think that people like bring it up so much. And I think it's getting a little bit of a reevaluation because what happened with this tribute concert was nothing short of a catastrophe of epic proportions. I didn't watch this. I didn't, for the most part. For one, I forgot it was happening in the first place. But two, if I had just looked at like who was even involved, I would have been like, even last year, I think it was the Billboard Music Awards or maybe it was I don't know what it was, but some music show did a tribute. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they're getting it right. So this year, they had a bunch of people go up on there. John Legend, Charlie Puth, Kesha, Jennifer Hudson, Billy Porter. All these people I like in their own way.
Taylor Momsen. I love her.
I'm not throwing shade in any of them. But you got a glimpse of some of the clips I sent you, and I think the overall consensus was that this did not go well. Mm-hmm. This did not go well in large part because it seemed as if a lot of these people were attempting to sing these songs in the original key that Mariah herself doesn't even sing herself anymore because she just can't sing the way that she used to, which is natural, of course, for that to happen. But like, why are you trying to reach for that key when I don't understand it? So I heard some of these performances and I was like, I am not, believe me, I don't think I'm that harsh of a critic when it comes to musical performances. Or maybe I am. Maybe I'm just, who knows? But a lot of them sounded karaoke. Like it was pretty, some of them were lightweight, some of them were whatever, some were decent. Mm-hmm. There are two moments that took me out. Look, Jennifer Hudson's an incredible vocalist. I don't want anyone to think that she's not. But she did some things on that stage that I don't know if it could ever be forgiven. For one, Mariah's songs aren't just loud. They're a variety of different keys and tempos, and she didn't seem to understand that. Apparently she couldn't do a run. And then, okay, sure, you can't do a whistle note. Most people can't. She literally whistled into the microphone. She didn't do like a whole a whistle note that Mariah or Ariana do. She like
there's no way
into the. She whistled into the microphone. This is what we're talking about. And then Billy Porter, he murders a song in a way I haven't seen anyone do since Fergie sang the national anthem. And if you remember what that sounded like,
I love the performance. I always have to watch it when it pops up.
So he was singing one of her more well-known songs called Always Be My Baby. And so many of the reactions that I saw were like, I don't even know what song he was singing. I couldn't even tell you what song he was singing. Because, and then there was a moment where he was legit screeching into the microphone. Screeching into the microphone. I mean, I will say this. Mariah seemed to be entertained. I don't know, to tell you the truth, what she was thinking, but I think genuinely she's a good sport to even put up with this, to tell you the truth. She didn't have to do this. But it's funny though, people seem to be agreeing that the person that gave the best performance was Charlie Puth, who himself is actually quite an interesting vocalist. He was performing a song called I Still Believe, which, good God, somebody needs to believe after all this happened. Here's a little bit of I don't want to play that. Well, here.
Thank you for having me. Come on, bob your head like this.
This is Billy Porter.
Hey, like the kids say, it's yeah. Thank you for having
No.
me.
No.
I don't know if we should play it.
So I'm not gonna play it. Here's the thing. There's a point where he just like screeches into the microphone. He screeches. I wasn't gonna play the whole thing, but it was I guess I can't find it anymore. The point is, it didn't go well that night. Which I think that should just go to show you. I think it speaks to a larger conversation about, and I noticed some people that were mentioning this on the Grammy night. We need some more vocalists. It seems like a lot of that doesn't seem to appeal to people anymore. At least it's no longer a requirement on certain cases. But I will say, all the people that I liked, whether it be from Leon Thomas to Reba to Justin Bieber or Bruno Mars or even Gaga, like they all gave great vocals. So there's that.
Olivia Dean did great.
Yeah, it would have been. Oh yes, I should have mentioned her as well because I do love her songs as well. It's a shame Bad Bunny couldn't perform. That would have been nice to see.
It's fine though. I forgive it.
I mean, I
the last time he played at the Grammys is so good. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, we should probably talk about the Oscars. With like where we're here to do, right?
When are they? In like
March.
Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was.
I think it's March.
Like Valentine's weekend.
I think it's March 9th or whatever. We'll just begin with this. Alexis, overall, did you like them?
The nominees?
Mm-hmm. What are your overall, not individual, but what are your overall impressions of the nominations? So Sinners breaks the all-time record, getting the most nominations of any film in history at the Academy Awards with 16. I believe One Battle After Another got like 13 or 14 nominations. And then we taper off from there.
I'm excited for these. I feel like I
yes.
I obviously
because your three favorite movies are
no.
Leaders,
I was gonna say for the most part, I like out of our group, I'm the one that watches the least amount of movies. We all know this. But I feel like I watched a good amount this year, and for the most part, other ones that I saw are nominated. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I will say this. I think easily. Now, there's still some issues I have, of course, but I think easily, even with who was excluded and blah, 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 I think these are my favorite group of nominees maybe ever. I think because, and this just by this merit alone.
I basically said I want everybody to win at least something.
Sure, that's not gonna happen, but the sentiment is nice, I guess. These nominations were the least upset they've made me ever. That's where I have to operate from, right? From that particular vantage point. And I believe we're in far better company with these nominees than we were whatever the fuck last year was, that's for sure, because last year was a bitch. I mean, Dune Part 2 got the nominations, some didn't win anything, and then Emilia Perez got 13 nominations, so it's like, yeah, that was not a great year. So, yeah. I like a lot of the nominees. Even some of the surprise ones, I will say, they feel right. Just before we dig into individual categories, I will just say that I think I've seen all the nominees for Best Picture. There are some that I think you haven't seen just yet, but for the most part, I have seen the nominees, and I will say, good list. I do think that as far as just the individual top 10, I do think 2023's is the best. Because I think that's the year that they had Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, they included Barbie, Poor Things, Anatomy of a Fall, The Zone of Interest, and a few others in there. I think that was the single year where I was like, okay, every freaking movie in this list is a banger. And I think it has... Now, they get pretty close this year, but I do think there are some that I'm like, oh, I personally wouldn't put this year. For instance, Begonia was a film I had some mixed feelings on. I don't think that should be in the conversation, quite frankly. It's not a bad movie. It's just not, I think, to me, among the favorites. The other one I would say is F1. I don't hate F1. I just think it's not really a film that needs to be here at all. But, you know, it's not because, look, I think more so it's just a clone of Top Gun Maverick. It's the exact same movie. And it's maybe the exact same person. So it's like, I don't know, guys. I feel like it's more like a been here, done that situation. So I don't think this would have been the one to do it with, to tell you the truth. But the other 8 movies I think are definitely deserving of being here. And I think make for a lot of really interesting possible outcomes to happen. My general observations, though, before I even get into some of these categories, I am wondering myself just a little bit what it technically means for Sinners' chances at some of these awards that they are the now nominations leader. Some years it helps, some years it doesn't. La La Land, for instance, received 14 nominations, won a lot of Oscars except the big one. We all know how that went. Emilia Perez had 13 nominations. I think it only walked away with 1 or 2. That very well could be Carla Sofia Gascon and her tweets that did that. In my mind, I have not seen any evidence to suggest that One Battle After Another will lose picture, director, or adapted screenplay, and or supporting actress. I think those are the 4 it's going to win. I have seen no evidence to suggest that that's not going to happen, despite the fact that Sinners did get a few more nominations than that movie. I feel like if One Battle won, should I say this out into the universe before it destroys me? But I would say that, well, I think either One Battle or Sinners, let's just say if it comes down to those two, I don't really care. I think I won either way. Like those 2 films alone are like such miracle movies that they even exist in the first place. And the fact that the race would come down between those 2, I would be like, I don't care, whoever it wins, I would be happy either way. And shout out to PTA, who at the Globes, we didn't bring this up, I think, in our show last week, but he did, in one of his speeches, shout out Mike DeLuca for making possible films like One Battle and Sinners, because that's what happens when a studio actually gets behind directors and creatives that want to actually do art. And you get films that are going to be long remembered, like the ones that we're talking about just now. So to bring that back up here. It's going to be fascinating because I feel like, look, the fact that this is happening in March gives time for narratives to change. If the Oscars were held this coming week, or maybe the week after the Super Bowl, I think One Battle wins and the whole thing's over. But because we have, like, we still don't have winners from BAFTA, we still don't have winners from the Screen Actors Guild Award. Like, the award season we're still in the middle of it, so things can change. In order for me to say Sinners can overtake One Battle, I need to see Sinners win Best Picture prizes. It hasn't yet. That isn't to say, though, it can't win anything. At the moment, if there are two categories where I think it has a great chance of winning, it is original score for Ludwig Göransson, because they love Ludwig, and original screenplay for Ryan Coogler, which that could be his, like, we're not going to give you the director, but we'll give you this kind of prize. I think those will be great wins. Although for a film that gets 13 nominations, you would think there'd be more than just the two. So that's where it kind of gets a little bit tricky. I want
Michael B. Jordan to win.
I want so badly for that to be the case. I think that actor category is incredible.
I don't think
it's not happening with Michael B. Jordan, unfortunately, but I would prefer that certainly to other people in the category for sure. We know who. We'll get into that in a bit. That's an interesting category in and of itself. General observations, though. I am disappointed. I'm not angry. I should be, but it's softened. I'm a little disappointed. Avatar, I get why it's not really in a lot of these, because, I mean, it's the third movie. I guess they're kind of over it. I get it, sure. But why it got me so animated, it's like, okay, well, wait a minute here. We have another sequel that never at any point had any business being in these conversations, and yet the day that the Oscar nominations come out, there are all these articles and all these videos that are like, I can't believe they give Wicked nothing. Justice for Wicked, justice for Ariana. And I'm like, bitch, back the fuck up. Avatar, the third film, was a great freaking movie, and it made all the money in the world. Why wouldn't it be here? It is a visual achievement of the highest order. And genuinely a great movie. We're going to just not prioritize that for a very problematic movie, if you ask me. A very stupid movie. And a very, like, unworthy sequel. And you can tell just how finicky these voters are, because if you look at the long lists, Wicked for Good made 8 appearances on the long lists. This was back in December. By the time it came around to the nominations, all the voters got the memo. We're not doing this movie anymore? Okay. They dropped it like a fucking rock.
Yeah. 0
nominations, which I will say I was quite happy about. I don't think we needed to have this at all. I don't think we needed to invite them, quite frankly, to the party. And I think this is wonderful. But unfortunately, it seems as if the reason for why this happened wasn't so much because of the quality of this film. It was because somebody was circulating a little bit of a whisper campaign against Ariana and Cynthia, in that they were creeping voters out about how they were close to each other. So when you think, oh, that's the reason why Wicked didn't get nominated? You're like, well, I'm happy he didn't get included, but then I'm like, I don't really think that's a reason to not vote for something, dude. It's like, but then again, this is who the Academy is. And this is who we've been telling you for the better part of 10 years now, who the Academy is and what they do. Which is why no matter who the nominees are, no matter who they exclude, no matter who they ultimately award, you should very much take all of this with a grain of salt and not take them overly too seriously. I've been saying this for 10 years and still I get angry. Anyway, no nominations for Wake Up Dead Man, which is insane. To tell you the truth, I think it's a very meaningful, spiritual film. And I do think that, look, it's not a surprise because it wasn't anywhere in the conversation. The surprise was that it was just not in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand there not being room for all these people, but we didn't even have a discussion about Josh O'Connor for Best Actor. We didn't have a conversation about Glenn Close for Best Supporting Actress. Why weren't they included in Best Casting? They didn't even get in the long list for Best Casting, let alone the actual nomination.
Do you think the fact that the names of the movies are so different hurts it?
I think this franchise is well known at this point to where they knew about its existence. I'm thinking the pattern seems to be.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I do believe. I mean, I feel like we got way more marketing for Glass Onion than we did for this one. And
we talked about this. That was by design.
Yeah.
We got way more marketing for Glass because Netflix didn't want to promote it as much.
I think it's not in the conversation because
Netflix dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they missed the boat on this.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, they seemingly were discouraged that they spent a lot of money on Glass Onion and it only got the one nomination. But I feel like Wake Up Dead Man had a lot more going for it than Glass Onion. For instance, unlike Glass Onion, with Wake Up Dead Man, I just mentioned O'Connor and Close were two performers who've had amazing careers, amazing years. They very much well could have been in the conversation. And you also, by the way, this is the first year we have a new category called Best Casting. What do you fucking mean that the Knives Out movie of the year is not even in the conversation for Best Casting? What about cinematography? Not in or editing, mind you, or production design.
I think Glenn Close should have been in rather than the lady from
Weapons.
Although I'm really happy somebody from Weapons got nominated. Like, that's a big deal.
I'm happy a horror movie performance.
Yeah,
got
that's what
nominated.
I mean. So it's a little like, okay, I do like that, but if we're being honest, like, Glenn Close should have been nominated instead.
I've seen Wake Up Dead Man so many times now that when we get to Glenn Close's monologue, I even just started to like repeat the lines with her. Even the way that she says them, it's like that's such an Oscar role and a winning role at that too. It's like, fuck you, Netflix, you fucked this up. It's like there were so many openings. And then of course, no screenplay nomination for Wake Up Dead Man. Really? Wake Up Dead Man is on the level of the first two films. And the first two films got nominations for screenplay. Mm-hmm. So should this one.
I mean, this one is very much in the conversation of Sinners and One Battle After Another. Like, they're all,
at least for us, yeah,
they're all essentially the same topic.
They're speaking to similar themes that are very much present at the top of mind, and yet for a lot of reasons this one was not in the conversation, which is a shame, to tell you the truth, especially because there were other films that I do feel like they're great, but do we really need like 9 nominations for Marty Supreme?
We really don't.
We don't, and yet, and even with that many, you couldn't find a spot to include it for score. That's like the one place it definitely needed to be.
I don't even want to talk about that.
Like, what the fuck, guys? Like, what is your problem with like these synth inspired scores that you don't want to include in them? The stupid branch. They also didn't include Challengers last year, and Challengers won the fucking Golden Globe for original score, and the Oscars couldn't even be bothered to include it in the list of nominees. Dude, last year, I think last year was the single year that I was the most pissed off. Between Challengers and Queer, 0 fucking nominations. Luca gave 2 amazing films and nothing. And then to top it all off, to tell you the truth, like Nora's a great movie, but the movie of the year was Dune. It was Dune, guys. It was Dune. If it wasn't gonna be Dune, The Brutalist was right there. It was right freaking there. What are we doing? That it came down to a Nora after, well, I guess we're gonna eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We were gonna give it to Amelia, but she fucked up, so we gotta.
Like, yeah.
Like, it was just. And then the year before that, Oppenheimer. I get it. I love the movie too, but Flower Moon was right there, guys. Flower Moon was right there, and you give it 0 wins. 0 wins. Anywho, so this was all quite absurd. But yeah, Marty Supreme, like, I liked the movie. I don't know if I like it that much for nine nominations.
No.
I don't, and it's also really interesting. Have you seen the stuff that's come out about the softies since that? Do we want to touch that? I mean, we did touch a lot about pedophilia in the earlier part of the show, and it might be a through line here. But in short, there was, things that have come to light that part of the reasoning for why the Softy brothers are no longer working together was because of the supposedly underage sex scene happening while they were making Good Time, I want to say. And Josh Softy apparently not realizing, he claims he didn't realize she was underage when it happened. Benny was like, I'm out of here. And that was that. Which is insane. Insane. And this all came out after
I think that's gonna...
the nominations. That's not gonna...
No.
That might hurt them.
Oh, definitely. Especially with everything right now. Which, like... I know I said I wanted Michael B. Jordan to win, but, like, we all know it was gonna be Timmy. And if it doesn't happen for that reason, I feel so bad.
I'm very curious to see what the SAG and the BAFTAs do, because it's in their hands. It's all in their hands, in that, are they going to stay with Timothy? And if it's not going to be Timothy, which other way are they going to go? Mm-hmm. They could very well do Michael B. Jordan, in which case I think that would be amazing. They also could go with Wagner Moura, which would be an interesting choice if that were to, be the case. Although the international performers don't usually win in these categories, unfortunately. It would be interesting for Leo. I wouldn't be opposed to Leo, because I think, I loved him in this movie.
I would go with Leo.
I would go. Why not? You didn't like him in the movie, or you just like it's just not award winning?
No,
is that what we are?
I like him in the movie, but I wouldn't choose him. It was like, compared to like the performances, I think it was like average, which is like, I see all of them really high.
That's the majority opinion. That's the majority opinion. Most people feel that way, and so that's why it won't be him.
Like I would, and then like even like compared with the whole cast, I think the people around him did. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say better, but just they stood out more to me. Like I would definitely award Sean Penn something.
Yeah, that's one where I'm like, interesting. It's interesting that he's kind of not winning anything, even though he gave like a pretty legendary performance. Yeah. On that one, where it seems like it might be coalescing as Stellan Skarsgård, although who knows? It still could change too, because Delroy Lindo got included for Sinners, and I thought that was an amazing inclusion. It was his first ever nomination at the Academy Awards, and I thought what was really remarkable is one of the very rare times in like the 10 plus years that I've been watching these nominees, Delroy Lindo was nominated in the category after making 0 appearances in any of the precursors: BAFTA, SAG, Globes, Critics' Choice, none of them included Delroy Lindo in their nominations for supporting actor, but the Oscars did. And I got to say, respect on that. Respect on that. I think this is a man that's been deserving of a nomination for many a year. And I think especially for this movie, it speaks to the strength of the film that he's included in here. If they somehow went with him, I would love that win. That would be great, ultimately, for that one. I am a little conflicted about Best Actress. Because I think Jessie has this. That's not even a discussion. But I think Renata Reinsva and like her performance in Sentimental Value is definitely one that is going to be staying with me for a long time. So that I don't think Renata's going to win because again, international performers don't win usually in this category. And
but
she did. But Jessie's a great winner too. And I just rewatched Hamnet the other day. By the way, Hamnet's already available to purchase and rent on digital VOD just today. But I went to go see it in the theater recently, or rewatch it, I should say, and I loved it even more than I did the first time. And I do think that like she's that film just puts me in such a trance, and she's a big part of that reason. I'm just so transfixed in so much of what's happening in the film, and I do think it is an Academy Award-winning performance. And I will say, Eternals mattered in the making of this movie because Chloe Zhao was saying how a little bit of a motif that she borrowed from Eternals is like how important the costumes and how identifiable the costumes were to the characters. And I think you can see it in the movie. It paid off. So Eternals mattered, people. It mattered in some small way in the end of the day. And I think that'll be Hamnet's big win. Will be for Best Actress, I would think. I think Teyonah Taylor will probably... That to me is the performance of One Battle After Another, and I think that one will win Supporting Actress. I think Skarsgård has the best chance at the moment. That'll be the win for Sentimental Value for Supporting Actor. And at the moment, I would say Timothy has Best Actor, and I don't think it'll be weird. I mean, I don't know if weird's the right word, but I don't know what else Marty Supreme might win, but it'll have that. But you're right, though. It will be interesting to see if this actually affects it, which, I mean, we will see. It's not a full-blown scandal yet. It's something that's kind of been kind of quiet. It may be that there are other things that are, the Epstein Files are kind of keeping everyone's attention. Could get worse, could stay the same way. It's really hard to know at this moment how that's going to look like. Oh, I did forget to mention, though, with the Grammys, John Williams' documentary won, and therefore Steven Spielberg won a Grammy, and that means he is now officially in the EGOT club, which is not something we usually see a lot. We don't get EGOT winners all that often. So nice. Good for him. Happy for him. At 79 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So let's look at these real quick. We're not going to go category by category. I'll just look at some of the ones that interest me. So for supporting actress, I was happy to see Wunmi Masaku from Sinners included here. She thought she was magnetic in that movie.
Oh my God.
Magnetic in that movie. And she's so deserving to be here. Like to me, she gives a movie star level performance in Sinners. The way that she just carries herself and the way that she acts, opposite Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan, like she should be here for sure. Alexis, what did you think of Sentimental Value getting 2 actresses in here? You had Elle Fanning, and you also had Inga Itzbader Lilias, who played the sister.
I love the Fanning sisters. I actually have a cousin named after Dakota Fanning, so they're big in our little group. So I'm a big fan. Obviously I don't think she's gonna win, but I'm glad she was.
The win is the nomination.
Exactly. I kind of would like the other actress
Inga?
to win. I loved the movie.
She was amazing.
Oh my God. And I know I said I want Sean Penn to win, but like I don't mind if it goes to
Stellan.
Yeah. I thought it was such an interesting movie. It made me cry so much. I loved just like to me it reminded me a lot of what's that movie? The Girl Who Made Materialists.
Oh, Celine's Song?
Yeah. The movie that
Past Lives?
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of that, like at least the way that it looked and like the different shots and stuff like that. And even like the way that the story played out, like you don't really know like you know what's going on, but like because we don't have confirmation, it's like, and then it kind of shows you one thing, but like no, it's actually another thing, and then you're kind of left with like, oh, I know I'm going like everywhere with this, but it made me emotional because people like close to me have this type of relationship with their parents, and I've seen like how it affects people to have this or to have like a parent that's like involved but not involved, and like also kind of realize like that person like has also gone through stuff and it affected the way that they have relationship with their kids, but like to also kind of turn around and just like the fact that he like knew, and the way that the daughters say like, did anybody tell him? And I mean, at least what I got from that moment is like, no, he knew the signs. Kind of like, even though he wasn't around, like he still saw me, he still knew me, and that like broke me.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how this all plays out. I can't think of too many other people who were not included, but I would say I think again generally a great list of nominees. I will bemoan Park Chan-wook not getting included for No Other Choice, which is a great film that we'll be talking about next time. Let me go ahead and read the 10 nominees for Best Picture. Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. I think generally though, I do encourage anyone who happens to be listening or watching to this to watch these movies. Why not? I'm not going to guarantee that they're all going to be great to you, because a lot of these movies are not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And that's okay. There's going to be art that sometimes appeals to a lot of people, and you might be one of those that watches and you're like, I don't quite understand what this is even all about, to tell you the truth, you know? But on the other hand, it very well could be that you find yourself liking something that you didn't think that you otherwise would. So we've been here all about finding new stories, finding new, styles of storytelling, styles of films, to really get yourself out there and really appreciate them more. The more you end up liking different kinds of movies, I think the more overall you appreciate cinema, and the more invested you get into movies, and the more invested you realize this art form has been around for a while for a reason, and it connects with people for a reason, and it speaks to people who don't have anyone else that are kind of like revealing the lives that they actually live. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that, for the Academy Awards, and of course any other films that we want to. The next time that we're here, well, there's a lot of next times. We've already pre-recorded something else that'll be officially a 527, but on the next whatever weeks, there will be other films that we want to get into. For sure, we're going to review In Depth, Sentimental Value, No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook. At some point, we do need to get Peter back on here and talk about... We haven't even talked about Marty Supreme, which that one we should discuss. We saw the new Sam Raimi movie with Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien, Send Help, which we thought was pretty
I'm so excited for this month.
It's incredible. We have Wuthering Heights coming out by Emerald Fennell, so there's a lot more coming that you're going to be hearing a lot more of us to come in the future. But we also just want to say that we're very appreciative and thankful of anyone who decides to quote unquote waste their time and quote unquote waste their life away listening to the two of us drone on for so long. As always, I want to thank Alexis Moreno for being here on the show. You've been on the show every week this year.
I know. I'm trying, guys. I'm
I
exhausted if you
appreciate
can't
the
see it on
effort.
my face.
I appreciate the effort. I think the audience does as well. And yeah. Stay tuned. I hope you are checking out our social media feeds. We have YouTube, obviously, and we got some TikToks. I guess. They're made. I don't know if they're posted, but they'll be there at some point. And coming up in the pipeline, we have an audio commentary reaction to a movie that turned 20 years old. I hope soon it will be on the timeline. And I'm hopeful that shortly we will get to record the 2 sequels instead of waiting a couple of months. I'm going to say that's what I'm hopeful about in the future. So, without any further ado, stay under our red spotlight for more content and more. And we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.